never seen a baseball team before pull off a April Fool's joke throughout an entirety of an actual baseball game. But that's what happened today as the Metropolitans dropped their first game of a 3-game set against the Detroit Tigers by a final score of 5-0 in extra innings. Step right up and meet the effing Mets, baby. Another shit show offensive performance, this time after Sean Manaea gave you a masterclass pitching outing, likely one of, if not the best pitching outing we will probably see from Sean Manaea all season. And the Mets, you know what they did? Absolutely nothing with it. How you doing, everybody? I know you're not doing great. I got a lot to say. I know we're 4 games into the season. Holy shit! Sorry. Apologies for the eardrums. Apologies for the eardrums. The overreaction's kicking in a little bit. I'm more bothered because I just sat through all that with you. I have friends that were in attendance at today's game. I'm so sorry to each and every one of you. To everyone that's attended a Metropolitan ball game through the first 4 games, ask for refunds. That's what you should be demanding. Stop spending your money. Ask for refunds. Unbelievable. We're going to get into a lot, okay? There isn't a lot to get into, but really I want to highlight the brilliance that was Sean Manaea tonight. The bullpen, up until Michael Tonkin, electric. Mets pitching today, far from the issue, right? What was the issue? Once again, an offense that, you know what, we're not going to do anything, right? Even with Francisco Alvarez moving up in the order, we still can't take advantage of that opportunity, right? Joey Wendell is signed as your go-to defensive guy later in the games if he's not starting because he's versatile and because he's superior defensively. Joey Wendell goes on to have a game-altering error, which opened up the floodgates shortly after, thanks to Carson Kelly. Ha! I'm so pissed. I am so pissed, guys. I'm not even going to say you have no idea, because you know exactly how I feel, right? Wardy, you were right. I should have listened. It's okay, Daniel. Take the betting advice tomorrow. It is what it is. You know, we look to see another day, baby. Speaking of betting, shout out to my amazing sponsor, as always, is BetUS. With all your sports betting needs, I pray to the Lord that none of you schmucks went out your way, aside from Daniel in the chat, to bet on the Mets today, because if you did, you lost. Whether it was $10, whether it was $100, whether it was $1,000, no matter what. Just make sure you bet responsibly. And betting responsible right now means do not bet on the New York Metropolitans. Bet on pretty much anyone else, as we broke it down in our recent pregame show earlier today. A lot to get into in this one. And at this point, we know the expectations are low. We know we're 4 games into the season. Do I think the sky is falling by any stretch? No. But this Mets team is so lifeless. They are so lackadaisical on the offensive end that you're still wondering, again, when is the 2024 season actually going to start? No, it has started. This is the reality that we're dealing with. We are enduring a completely horrendous, dog shit, pardon my French, earmuffs, kiddos, start to a ball game. We'll get into, again, the few highlights that you see there. We'll get into the offensive and pitching numbers and everything in between, along with answering your questions, comments, and concerns. But we got even Braves fans in here. JL, literally, taken back, not even wanting to rag, because Braves fans are now at the point too where this is just sad. This isn't even entertaining for us to enjoy, because this was all last year and now it's a carryover to begin the season. We might lose 10 in a row. Dude, I just hope the Mets win a game this month. Shout out to April. Great start, baby. We love to see it, right? Said absolutely nobody. Juan Diaz with the $5 holla. Thank you so much, Juan. He says, Mets need a manager with some effing fire. A Lou Pinella, somebody that gets into these players' faces, and enough is enough, man. Look, this is very little on Carlos Mendoza, guys. I know that we can make gripes about the lineups, and I'm all for wanting a fiery manager. Carlos Mendoza is going to get ragged on so hard early when he doesn't deserve it. He adopted this roster, okay? It's not like he is single-handedly winning and losing the Mets ball games here. The manager means plenty, but Carlos is not the guy I'm targeting tonight, nor should it be for you guys either. What you should target is the guys in this Mets offense doing absolutely nothing. Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor. What do these 3 men have in common? They are what starts off your batting order 1, 2, and 3. They also make an absolute bag, each and every one of them. And all of them put up an absolute shit show performance today. Brandon finally was able to get on base at least with a walk later on the ball game, with the Mets not able to do anything with it. Great walk, 0-2 count, tough pitches, tight calls, but the ump again was giving him benefit of the doubt. Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso, more lackadaisical at bats today. Francisco Alvarez in the 4-hole. Very excited to see him batting cleanup. Should be batting 4th or 5th every single game. And unfortunately, we didn't really get to execute that, even though he did have himself a double today, which was awesome. DJ Stewart batting 5th. What are we doing here? Again, this is a guy that wouldn't have even been on the roster. The Mets just found someone that they found appealing to acquire heading into the season, you know, a waiver wire pickup even, and they decided to opt with him. DJ Stewart, I've seen enough. You know, I've seen enough. I'm done on that front. You know, I really am. Harrison Bader, if he's not facing lefties, I don't want to see that man consistently starting. I don't. The guy can't hit a lick against righty pitching. He's a platoon lefty option that I want to see Tyrone Taylor utilize more. Tyrone Taylor has more of a balance in his offensive game than Harrison Bader does. We need to stop looking at the past and look at what is currently happening and the future. That was frustrating me. Jeff McNeil, I'm not going to give any. Jeff did not get the start today, as we know. He struck out on 3 pitches, 101 high and away. That's tough. While we have ragged on plenty with Jeff early this season, that I have no gripes whatsoever. If your ass is cold coming off the bench, I'm not expecting you to catch up to that. That is the fault of the Mets offense the entire game prior for doing nothing when they did have opportunities from time to time. Sean Manaea going 6 shutty, 8 Ks, 2 hits, nothing to show for it. 1 hit rather, not even 2 hits. What am I saying? Damn, that pisses me off. Juan, appreciate the donation. Disharmonist, thank you for the $5 holla. Disharmonist says, the best part of tonight was seeing Mark Hanna's handsome it was. Love Mark Hanna. Happy to see him back in Queens. Hope he's doing well, the absolute foodie. I know we got a lot of our awesome members. I know we got live reoccurring viewers. Everyone watching live on YouTube, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button for your boy. As we're about to break down again the key takeaways, which were few and far, that we'll get into with this one. People watching on Twitter, make sure to hit that like button, that follow button, retweet. Greatly appreciated. Help us get to 14K followers on Twitter for our next short-term goal, 25K here on YouTube. And for my Twitter followers, if you want to interact in the chat, know that interactions will only be taking place on YouTube. And appreciate everyone that's taking the time to chime in. But holy shit, guys and gals, how are we feeling? This is totally unacceptable, okay? I thought we were going to see something from the Mets today. I thought we were going to see some type of life. Shame on me for getting ahead of myself. Grant, I love you too, baby. Happy to have you in here, brother. Worry shout for not reading that. If you know, you know. What happened? What happened, Guria? It's an awful takes by commentators or awful takes by the players, 100%. I don't know what happened. We got 400 live concurrent viewers. I'm not going to see every comment, so I don't know what I missed there. Wardy, I'm nauseous. I want to throw up a little bit too. I'm gutted after a loss like this. It's not fun. It's okay, Cody. I appreciate the apologies, though. I'm sorry for you too, but I'm assuming you're not a Mets fan, because why else would you be apologizing, right? Holy shit, guys. Give me a second. Sorry, just had to let off steam. That I don't need to kill everyone's eardrums. Thank you for the membership, Daniel. Happy to have you in here. All right, guys and gals, let's talk about this shit show you want to call a ball game. Yes, 4 games of the season, April 1st, and yet I'm still wondering when the April Fool's joke's going to be funny, right? Right? Okay, let's get into this one. Sean Manaea. Sean effing Manaea. This man pitched an absolute masterclass today. The problem is, Reese Olson, while he wasn't pitching a masterclass, did what he needed to do to get these Mets batters. Basically, if you're just a guy that knows how to throw on the mound, you have a solid chance against this Mets team. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter that they have some of the better offensive players in Major League Baseball. It doesn't matter that they have Francisco Lindor. It doesn't matter that they have Pete Alonso. It doesn't matter that they have Francisco Alvarez. It doesn't matter that they have Brandon Nimmo. It doesn't matter when you have outcomes like this. Sean Manaea today, what a beautiful outing from him, and I'm so pissed. Again, we all know as Mets fans, how many amazing outings have we witnessed as fans that unfortunately were wasted because of a lack of offense, right? Jacob deGrom, every single start he had, still bothers me to this day. Sean Manaea today, utilizing the four-seam fastball, 63% of his arsenal today, topped out 96, sat 93, love that shit. Fastball looks so good today, was getting batters silly, up and in, up high and away. He looked great. Changeup, topped out 90, 91, sat 86. Cutter, topped out 92, sat 88. Sweeper, topped out 79, sat 77. Sean Manaea was an absolute dog today. He had literally 7 whiffs on the four-seam fastball. He had 50% whiffs on the changeup, 75% whiffs on his sweeper today too. Sean Manaea looked effing brilliant today, and I'm so bothered that the Mets were not able to, at minimum, keep themselves in this ball game. In a 0-0 ball game, all you need to do is score a run. 1 run. Woo! 1 run. We're just not allowed to have nice things. We're not allowed to have nice things. Even with the bar being so unbelievably low, you have to go so deep and the deepest part of the ocean, and that's where you'll find the Mets bar. It's going to take you a while to raise that up. I'm aware of that, but that's the reality we currently find ourselves in. My goodness, my God, my gracious, I'm pissed. Steven, thank you for the membership. As always, happy to have you in here, brother. Hurts, damn, we suck again. Appreciate the donation, 1,200. This isn't even, this is a Pucky-worthy conversation, 1,200. That's how bad this team is playing. I don't know how to be optimistic about this team. You don't need to be. The only optimism that we have is that it's very early into the season. Whoa! Daniel with the gifted. Holy shits. Guys, Daniel gifting the memberships out. That's amazing. Daniel, thank you so much. Daniel Caps Keenan in the chat, you absolute beauty, hooking up some brothers with the memberships. Thank you so much for that, my friend. That really does mean a lot. Shout out to you, Daniel. You guys are amazing. The Mets lost 5-0. We got 500 concurrent viewers on YouTube. On Twitter right now, we got roughly 700 because you guys are pissed just like I am, right? So we can go through this together. Look at this. Look at the pitching here just for a second, right? I don't even need to break this game down truly inning by inning because Manaea every single inning until we saw there in the 6th, 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3. The problem, so was the Mets offense basically this entire time. If you're not named Starling Marte, who's looked great still. Brett Beatty, a small bright spot. Brett has looked awesome. Very happy with what I'm seeing with Brett right now, both offensively and defensively. He looks confident. He looks locked in. Of course, when Brett is finally right, the top guns in the Mets offense isn't. Shout out to my boy Richie at Jets Media. I'm not even a Jets fan, but I had to show up for my boy. Jets Media, one of the best Jets YouTubers you'll ever catch out there. Make sure to subscribe to him and Knicks Media too, in which you guys can catch me weekly, probably sometime this week on there too. Look at the pitching today, guys. Manaea, brilliance. Jorge Lopez gets the job done. Brooks Raley, dog. Edwin Sugar Diaz, second straight outing. I was genuinely not happy seeing Edwin come in to pitch today. Not because I didn't want to see Edwin pitch, but because I knew it was going to be a wasted opportunity. Like, I knew the Mets were not going to win this game, just with the continued trends we've had. Why should you believe they're going to win? They had every reason to lose this game, as a matter of fact, right? Edwin Diaz, two strikeouts, looked great. And then we saw Michael Tonkin get absolutely shelled there. Again, no earned runs in that 10th inning. And we'll talk about how we got to that point here for a second. But before, actually, it's pretty clear how we got to that point. So I'll explain it here shortly just a little bit more. But Hank said it best. This team is boring, pathetic, and disgracefully disgusting. These players are the fault of the season when your top 5 hitters are a wonderfully amazing combined 1 for 18. 100%. This is not how you win ball games. The Mets are going nowhere this year with this type of construction. Do I think the Mets are going to go all season playing exactly like this? No, I do not. I do have faith that things are going to change, but I do not have a faith in how consistent that change will happen. We all knew the expectations were low heading into the year for a team just pushing to make playoffs. But it's another thing when you start your season 0 for 4, and outside of one game where you had a fire under your ass after you decide to throw late to a guy after he freaking torches you 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs and 1 home run, then you decide to throw at him, which automatically includes a suspension. Yohan Ramirez appealed. He got 2 games officially today, but that's fine because he pitched 3 innings yesterday, so the Mets will utilize him for the next couple games regardless. Point is, outside of the Mets getting that slight fire, which was started because of Brett Beatty's 3-run home run a couple days ago, they have had 0 offense whatsoever. Nothing. Nada. Sayonara. We're not here. We don't exist. That has been the Mets that we have seen so far through the first 4 games. And again, just because I'm having a reaction the way that I am right now, it does not mean that I think the season's over or anything like that. Of course it's not. I'm going to be covering this team win, lose, or draw no matter what. But it's disheartening baseball. It is dog shit baseball, and it's nothing that anyone should ever even fathom and try to comprehend the thought of going out of their way to attend, let alone spend money on. That's the thing. I hope Mets fans continue to do what they did today at Citi Field and not show up. Do not show up to these ball games until there's a reason to. You are wasting your money. Yes, fans are appreciated. They help hype up the team, and I think it's important to kind of help uplift the team, especially when they're down. But the season just started, and they're showing no effort offensively whatsoever. I know the effort's there, but when I say they're not showing, it means you can see the lackadaisicalness in their approach with some of their at-bats, right? You can see the life sucked out of them before the game even began in certain instances. This looks like a team that has 0 identity, as a surprise to absolutely nobody, because we've seen it the past couple years. Literally since August of 2022, this Mets team has been the same stagnant dog shit club, and that is not going to change until we physically see it with our eyes. Do I think we're going to see highs this year that we haven't seen in 2023? Yes, I absolutely do. is it also normal to have the type of reaction that I'm having right now, knowing how disheartening it is that the Mets single-handedly look like the worst team in baseball through the first 4 games of the season? Yes, I think that is also something that needs to be properly addressed and properly understood. As we go to the hitting side of things, you would think these are the fattest mofos with the way that they're eating these donuts. Look at the amount of zeros. Look at the amount of zeros we got right now. Brandon Nimmo, 0 for 3, 1 walk. Francisco Lindor, 0 for 4, 1 walk. Lindor, your ass tonight. Love you, Lindor, but I will 100% call you out. I know you've been the first guy to say that I need to be better, and I appreciate that, but until we start to see it, you were ass tonight. That's 100% what you were. Pete Alonso, same applies. Alvarez as well. Again, Alvarez was great today, still, especially with the defense. There was a huge play that we'll get into shortly, but still, frustrating. Just frustrating that we weren't able to take more advantage of Alvy finally batting cleanup, which he should be every single game until JD Martinez is in the slab. DJ Stewart, if I see him in the 5-hole again, I'm going to throw something. Starling Marte, 2 for 4. Marte's example, 798. Why you not put much stock, if anything, into veteran batters' spring outings? Marte was healthy, but looked like shit all spring, and he's the best Mets hitter outside of Alvarez to start the season. Zach Short, of course, came in as a late replacement initially. We saw there at the hot corner, Brett got the start today. Brett Beatty, again, looked good, had himself a single, had a great defensive turn, too. Again, diving and charging and full follow through with his throw, confidence with it. Brett Beatty, this is easily the most confident I've seen him at the MLB level. Awesome to see that. McNeil, of course, came in there for the pinch hit that we saw initially, which moved Nimmo then to center from left. Bader had himself a little dribbler of a single today. Outside of that, nothing to show for it. And Joey Wendell, shit show. Joey Wendell, I never want to see this man start. I never do. I really don't. That's how I feel, guys. Let me know. Are we on the same wavelength? Are we in similarity here? Let me know how you guys feel. Please drop it down below. Greatly appreciated. Let me know how you're feeling about everybody. Deep breaths, deep breaths. Yeah, thankfully, I'm apologies for the intro running as always, everybody. Thankfully, I'm fine. I'm pissed. I'm not, freaking out anxiety-wise or anything like that. This just sucks. This truly sucks. And as we take a look at the key moments in the game, everybody, they're the following, right? We go all the way now to the, let's see here. Base single. Let's go to, okay, let's start in the 6th, okay? In the 6th, Sean Manaea, I'm looking at my girlfriend, and I'm about to tell her, I literally said, babe, if we get out of this inning without anything happening, I'm going to tell you what Manaea is doing, but I don't want to jinx anything. And as I said that, Manaea gives up his first hit, of course. I'm punching my chair right away. Mere seconds later, Brandon Nimmo, huge throw from left field, to get to Alvarez. Alvarez gets ran into a little bit. Thankfully, that saves a run, and that keeps the Mets in this ball game tied 0-0 at that point. As we then advance further on into the ball game, we would see there Nimmo gets on to the bottom of the 8th to lead things off at a walk after an 0-2 count. Tight calls, but it goes in his favor, thankfully, and the Mets do nothing with it thereafter. We then get to the bottom of the 9th here with 2 outs. Beatty gets on with a single, of course, and then Jeff McNeil, 3 pitches off the bench, ice cold, 101 heat. How you doing? Where you going? He's out of here, and that's going to do it for the inning. We get 2 extra innings, everybody, and this is where we went through it together, right? Tonkin comes in, Mark Canha with a hit by pitch. It was poetic, actually. Truthfully, the Mets were going to win. I'm glad that Mark Canha having production was a part of it. Hit by pitch, again, the best way that Mark Canha knows how to. It just grazed just right around his tailbone. Unfortunate that Tonkin couldn't locate. And then a ball's put in play. Joey Wendell, who has time to turn a double play, gets ahead of himself, has his head up too early before the ball is securely in his glove. He bobbles it, a run comes in, everyone's safe. Joey Wendell has one job on this Mets team because we know it's not much offensively, and that is to be a defensive help when we need him to. What was he not tonight? A defensive help. And I'm not going to put all the blame on his shoulders here because I understand the Mets didn't hit at all today. We shouldn't have to be worrying about a Joey Wendell error in the effing bottom of the 9th top of the 9th, 10th. I'm all over the place. In extras to dictate a ball game, in a 0-0 ball game. That's all in the offense for not doing anything prior. But I will say it is fitting that in this type of Mets game, more mental errors. We've seen it through the first 4 games this year, they've looked sloppy defensively outside of Beatty at the hot corner today because he looked like a dog. Love that. Outside of that, looking like trash. Really are. Like, this team is not in sync whatsoever. We saw that happen. And then, of course, more runs happen, right? Urshela with an infield single. Because Michael Tonkin, instead of letting it be an easy double play ball to keep it a 1-0 game to end the inning, decides to reach for it. The 6'7" man himself doesn't catch it. Ball stays in play. Everyone's safe. And then Carson Kelly. Yeah, remember Carson Kelly, the has-been in Arizona that lost his job because he peaked early in the in the juiced ball era in 2019 and hasn't really been the same player since. Broke his arm last year, barely played. Oh, yeah, 3 freaking run bomb to left. 5-0. Javi Baez before that drove in the second run of the game with a RBI sac fly. Everyone booing Javi. Why? You know, just because the thumbs down, as if that isn't the most embarrassing thing that's happened in Mets land. You know how many worse things have happened through the first 4 games alone? Javi batting 300, roughly 900 OPS during his time with the Mets, if not higher. I don't understand that, but again, if fans get salty about certain things, it is what it is. Again, it's fitting that Mark Canha and Javi Baez played into the Mets' loss in their first matchup tonight. But that's what happened, everybody. That wasn't fun. This is going to be a long year. How do you think I feel? How do you think I feel? It's one thing to be a fan where it's like, okay, the Mets suck tonight. I can tune them out. It's another when you're in my position. Shame on me for making my bed, right? This is why I want entertaining baseball more than anything, so I actually enjoy my coverage. The only enjoyment that I get out of what I do, truthfully, and this has been going on for a while now when it comes to actually covering games, is you guys. If it wasn't for you guys, there would be zero enjoyment whatsoever because you at least make it worthwhile to know that I'm not the only one that has the mindset that I do and the reactions that I have. Let's see here. I do see a bunch of donations. Let me get to them. Or at least I saw a membership here. Give me one moment here. Who gave the membership? Mike, thank you so much for the membership, brother. Happy to have you. Thank you for joining the Captain membership. Love you, brother. Really does mean a lot. You have to do this for a living. Exactly. And again, I'm privileged. Don't get me, I'm grateful to be in the position to do what I do, but it doesn't change the fact that I absolutely hate when I talk about bad games as consistently as I do. I have not talked about more than, I'd probably say 5 days of a good stretch of Mets baseball in over a year and a half. You know how much that sucks? You know? Like, it really isn't fun. It's hard to be a Mets fan. It is. It is, everybody. It is. But, again, I want to continue to see your reactions in the live chat right now. People watching on Twitter, let me know. Let me hear it, because this offense, guys. This offense is killing me. I didn't even bother making a killer of the game graphic. We lost 5-0. The killer of the game was ourselves, all right? There is no one more to blame for the Mets' loss today than themselves. Yes, Reese Olson pitched well today that we saw there. Again, he's a solid, young 24-year-old right-hander that we saw today for the Detroit Tigers. But it doesn't change the fact that the Mets should have pounced. They had 2 on, no out. This is the story of the Mets, and this is exactly why I tell you guys how imperative it is that the Mets need to get up early and often on teams, especially to start the year. Why, you might ask? The Mets started this ball game with 2 on, no out. Surely, with 2 on, no out, they're going to find themselves in a position to score and have success. Of course they did nothing with it. Why would they? Right? And this is the frustrating part. You have early opportunities. Even if you didn't have a lot of offense tonight, that first inning easily could have made your baseball game with the way Sean was pitching, and you did nothing with it. Absolutely nothing. Sean Manaea deserves better. Jorge Lopez, Brooks Raley, Edwin Diaz, these guys deserve better. And even Michael Tonkin, because who knows what happens if Tonkin doesn't have that Joey Wendell error. Does he get out of that jam right after without a problem unscathed? We'll never know, right? Ugh. Lindor's crying in his postgame. I feel bad. Is he actually? He's not. No way Lindor's actually crying in his postgame. If he is, I would be surprised by that. Even from him. No, he's not crying. Yeah, he's just probably not happy. Lindor's quotes so far tonight postgame. I can only talk about myself. I just haven't had the at-bats that get me on base. The Mets' early struggles. We've just got to keep the vibes in a very good place. And while I agree with the vibes, and that there's nothing that he's saying that's wrong, but after a loss like this, fans are not going to take any type of comment like that well. Understandably so. I think he knows that too. It is what it is. Let's see. Joey Wendell, and I quote, "I got to get at least one out there, obviously. There's no excuse for that. It cost us in a big way. Joey, thank you for being held accountable. I appreciate that. But this game really isn't on you, Joey. It just, unfortunately, for your sake, you were put in the worst circumstance in the sense of your error was so much more costly than it should have been in that spot. But it happened." And Sean Manaea as well. Sean with a beautiful outing, nothing to show for it. Sean, when speaking on his pretty good fastball tonight, "I'd like to keep it holding the velo over the course of the game, but especially at the beginning, I thought it was pretty good." Sean Manaea has done a fantastic job over the past calendar year and bringing more velo into his repertoire with his fastball. Usually a guy that sits low 90s on the gun is now sitting, catching 95, 96. He's even touched 97 that we've seen with the heater going back in spring training, if I'm not mistaken. So we have seen that success with him. We've seen it greatly today, and I hope it continues. But man, oh man, it just like, these games matter. They all matter. You know what I mean? And to start 0-4, to have to dig yourself out of a hole to this degree. I'm sure, I'll say this. I do think the Mets are 100% going to get above 500 this year. And I know that might seem like a crazy take to some of you that are very reactionary the way that I am in this moment. But it's still, at the end of the day, separating the reactionary like we're discussing today from the big picture of the year. If the Mets do not go over 500 at any point this season, I will be flabbergasted. And I say that as a man who knows that this team right now looks like utter dog shit and they are the worst in baseball. Even having said that, I still feel the way I do comfortably. And I'm sure many of you guys and gals feel too, just given the fact of where we're at in the game right now. 4 games in, rather. I just want respectable baseball. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. We want entertaining baseball. That's why I said I'm so envious of a lot of opposing fan bases because they actually have entertainment, even in losses. It's just it's hecticness. Maybe it's high scoring often. Like, I much rather hecticness where, it's up and down, but still in the sense where, there's consistency with the offense. Even if pitching's Jekyll and Hyde, it would still be entertaining. Like, I'll take a 2019 Mets right now that didn't have a bullpen to save their life, but had electric offense down the stretch, especially in the second half, led by guys like J.D. Davis, Michael Conforto, in which I would take Michael Conforto back every single day of the week. You guys know how I feel about Michael. You've been following the channel. He's my favorite player. When he was on the Mets, he's one of my favorite players in the league. He's off to a tremendous start for the Giants this season. I would love it. Even though the Giants will not be sellers at the deadline, I would love to see Conforto back, but I digress. That's just me getting on a tangent. Yes, the Mets need to get their shit together, quite frankly. This season and next will be third place finishes. Realistic is feeling realistic with that comment there, I suppose. Thank you for the donation, my friend. Really does mean a lot. The effing A's got to win before the Mets this season. After sending down their best player, arguably, or top 3, and Ruiz today because he wore a bracelet that was going against the Oakland A's. Just like how Brent Rooker benched yesterday or over the past day when he was wearing the bracelet. Fuck the A's. Fuck your ownership. Absolute trash. I feel so bad for those fans. If there's one fan base that has it worse more than anyone else, even us Mets fans, it is Oakland A's fans. I feel for you guys beyond belief. It's terrible what's been happening to you, and I wish you guys well. That's all I have to say. You have the most brutal, horrendous piece of utter dog shit owner in the game, and that sucks. And that's saying a lot, too, because there's some really bad owners in baseball. Arden Marino's winking somewhere. Ryan Sport's winking somewhere, right? Charles, thank you for the $5 haul. I appreciate that. This team is a joke. No plate discipline, chasing garbage, staring at haters, can't even score a free runner. Embarrassing. Yes, it is embarrassing to say the least, everybody. It is. And I got more that I want to say about this, and I want to answer more of your comments and questions before we wrap things up. We're not there yet, but guys, I do want to shift just for a second to take you all to my amazing sponsor here at BetUS today to see how our parlay was doing to this point, because I am curious about that, 1, and 2, what games are still could be had for you guys to get in on action, whether it's tonight, if not tomorrow. Let's do exactly that here with our amazing sponsor. As always, let me just pull it up for you guys and gals 1 second. Appreciate everyone watching live on a replay. Smash that like and subscribe button for your boy. Let me know what is your biggest takeaway from another horrendous offensive showing from our New York Metropolitans. So everybody, today, pregame in my show, I had a 3-pick parlay, and let's see if it's fared any better than the past couple days, right? And then we'll get on to what picks I like early for tomorrow at this rate. But what I initially had today for my 3-pick parlay was the following. The Boston Red Sox money line currently at that time was around minus 145, 148. They're up 6-0, 3 innings in against the Oakland A's. So we checked off the box there. Very happy to see that. Then we're going to get on to my next one, which was, let me double check because I want to make sure I'm right. The Baltimore Orioles money line against the Kansas City Royals hammered. 6-4 Orioles win. And lastly, the final pick I had today, and this is, again, I'm actually glad I stepped away. I told you guys I actually would step off. Initially, I liked the Tampa Bay Rays run line today because I thought that they were the underdog, but they were the favorites. So I actually scratched that. So Rays ended up losing today 9-3. Unfortunately, Pepiot gave up 3 runs that we saw there in the first, but settled down afterwards up until we saw in the 6th, where I don't even know if he pitched. But overall, for the 2 picks that we were emphasizing today, pretty good. Finally hit in that sense. And my pick of the day, out of all of them, I'm pretty sure my pick of the day, it was the Orioles. Yep, it was Orioles money line and Orioles hit. So if you guys got in on that action, I appreciate that greatly. Thank you all so much as always. And make sure to click the link down below. That way you too get 125% bonus or your first 3 deposits there at BetUS for all your sports betting needs. But as we take a look quickly at some of the slates that we have tomorrow, everybody, I'm sorry, but I am just such a Baltimore Orioles lover. It's hard not to want to hammer 155 right now, but it's even more difficult to not want to hammer Boston Red Sox tomorrow, trying to win the series already at -141. So I'm going to pick that right away because these odds are going to change and they're going to be more against Boston. Like, these odds are 141. I promise you by this game closer tomorrow, it's probably going to be anywhere from 165 to 170 plus. So I'm going to go here on the 141. We're going to put down 50 to win 35, and let's see how we do there. And shout out, as always, to BetUS, who has you covered with all your sports betting needs. But now, let's get back into talking about this godforsaken ball game. As you see, Benedict, great member here, says, we are watching the death of Oakland professional sports. I never thought that would happen in my lifetime. It's a horrendous thing, and I don't wish that on Oakland for their fans whatsoever. But unfortunately, when you have schmuck owners the way that you do, and an environment the way that they have, that is what has led us to the point where they're at in Oakland. Let's see, your worst team in the league right now. Name me one team that's better than the New York Mets right now, 4 games in the season. Name me one team that has looked better 4 games in the season than the New York Mets. You will not find one. You will literally not find a team that looks better. That is how bad that they have looked. Enzo, have a great night, my friend. Thank you so much for chiming in, and I greatly appreciate that. But yeah, so enlighten me. What team has looked? None. And now as we look as a whole, everybody, because I know not everyone chimed in the pregame show today because that has a short shelf life. In case you're wondering, Tyler McGill, 15-day IL, shoulder strain. Unfortunately, another reoccurring thing that we have seen with him with that issue. Thankfully, it's not nearly as bad as what it was in 2022 with his shoulder, he said, which is good to hear. But now, because of the fact that he's going to be out of the rotation for at least his next couple starts, the Mets have called up Reed Garrett as a multi-inning reliever, and Jose Buto, and also that being in Joey Lucchesi, have both looked sharp in their early starts in AAA. But they just pitched the past couple days, so they're not going to be lined up properly. Jose Buto can pitch and be lined up for the Cincinnati Reds series this weekend, but as current reports, thanks to Tim Britton of The Athletic said earlier, the Mets are likely going to be having a non-roster option there. So whether that is a call-up in a Mike Vassell, which I don't foresee happening, or what I think is going to happen, and a signing on a minor league deal of Julio Teheran, veteran right-hander, who peaked during his time with the Atlanta Braves, pitched 70 innings for the Brewers last year, pitched to a 4.4 ERA, 4.9 expected ERA, just an innings eater, K per 9, just over 6, walks per 9 wasn't bad, actually commanded the zone well. Signed a deal with the Baltimore Orioles this spring, but if he didn't make the roster, he was planning on separating from his contract. He did just that. The Mets rekindled that relationship because they were seeking him prior to that. The only reason why he didn't sign with the Mets is because he got a bigger incentive bonus from the Orioles, which was actually like uncommon for the type of signing he was having, reportedly. So Teheran's back out there. Don't be surprised if the Mets sign him and he's basically starting 3 or 4 innings in that Cincinnati Reds series in that batter's park against a very good Cincinnati Reds offense. Yes, I'm scared shitless just as much as you are, but that's the reality we find ourselves in because you can't call up a Jose Buto or a Joey Lucchesi unless there's a transactionary move like a guy being put on the IL, because that already happened with Reed Garrett being put up and Tyler McGill being put on the shelf. There's no other way the Mets can do that. And on top of it as well, you don't want to waste your minor league options, especially for guys that you're only going to have called up for a start or two, and then you're going to send down right away, especially in case of Jose Buto. He's a guy that, I think is going to impact the Mets quite well this year when he is on the team, whether that's in a multi-inning relief role or the rotation. So it's an interesting situation to evaluate for the Mets right now, to say the least. We talked about Julio Teheran, Manaea with the shutty. We saw that. Alvarez in the 4-hole. I was happy about that today. Not happy about much else, unfortunately. Brandon Nimmo again with the game-saving throw, initially at least. That didn't last too long, unfortunately. And then the Joey Wendell error. That pretty much wraps it up. You guys way overestimating this pitching. It's going to dump fast and hard, and soon, guys, it's trash. Mets do have some good pitching on this team. This Mets pitching will surprise people this year. Mets pitching is far from the biggest issue with this Mets team right now. But unfortunately, what I think is going to find ourselves happening, and this is the one thing, guys, I just hope the Mets don't dig themselves in such a hole that by time JD Martinez is back with the team, as soon as April 7th, might I add, that they're like, there's no way to rebound from that, right? I just hope the Mets actually can get some wins here and be in a spot where they can still be competitive, or even early on, where once JDM's here, hopefully being productive and having an impact. JD Martinez is going to do wonders for this team. I firmly believe that. But until we get there, we're going to have some big struggles offensively. And when you don't have Lindor and Alonso hitting, you got nothing. Alvarez, even when he's at his best, can't single-handedly carry this team on the night tonight. You know, the Mets lost 7 or 9. It's one of the two. At least 7 games last season where Francisco Alvarez hit a home run, right? You know, I'm sure there's more than that too. Very frustrating. Really, really annoying, especially when Alvarez has had some multi-home run games and Mets still managed to lose those games. Like, wasting your young, exciting talent drives me up a wall like no tomorrow. Wasting great pitching when you have it and a rather suspect rotation also drives me up a wall like no tomorrow. And when you get no production from the guys in the lineup that you need most production from, that is what grinds my gears like no tomorrow. This is the unfortunate reality thus far through the first 4 games of the 2024 Mets. And until we see some changes of significance, it's going to be a lot more of the same. So, and when I say changes of significance, I mean just in the guys locking in, getting out of the funks that they're currently in. Because right now it's bad. Mendoza should hold a team meeting. I'm sure he's talking. Trust me. I'm sure Mendoza's talking plenty, guys. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that is not in the public eye. Carlos Mendoza was the meeting, host, and was the guy for the Yanks while he was there. Like, he has a lot of input, a lot of say with the players. He's building these relationships and connections. Carlos Mendoza is not my concern. It's been a horrendous start to the season for him as a manager, but he's not the big picture problem here right now. The big picture problem is the current roster configuration that goes in hand with not as much of what David Stearns did this offseason, but more so what your core group is. Again, if you cannot get proper production from your core group, you can't get anything. And that's why the Mets are 0-4 to start their regular season. Is Christian Scott coming up this year? Yes. That's a rhetorical question. That's like asking if the sky's blue at this rate. Christian Scott is going to be up with the Mets this year, 1,000%. Not sure exactly when. I have a feeling the Mets will opt for someone like a Mike Vassell before Christian Scott, because Mike Vassell is the type of starter you have a little bit more of an interest in potentially rushing up in an innings-eating role, versus Christian Scott. You want to make sure you go about him very properly. This is not to down Mike Vassell, but the potential between the two currently is greater for Scott from all we've seen over the past calendar year. Scott has MLB stuff right now. Christian Scott could be a force in the Mets rotation as we speak, but you also don't want to take the risk of rushing him up and hurting his development either. And that's a valid thing. So Scott will be up with the Mets. It's just a matter of time. It'll happen. It's a matter of if. It's a matter of when versus if. Hey, Stearns and his smugness. All right, let's talk briefly about David Stearns. Mets fans are going to be very quick to turn on him. I can understand criticisms to a certain extent, I do. But at the end of the day, David Stearns is a diehard Mets fan that wants winning just as much as we do. And he has the proper formula in order to make that happen. It's not his fault that he adopted a team in which their core group, again, are sporadic in what you're getting. It's not his fault that he came into a team that had to do some significant changes all in one offseason, right? Like, these are things we cannot forget about as fans. Do you understand how difficult it is for a new guy to come in to, again, hire a new coaching staff, an entire new front office, and then try to get everything right in one offseason? Of course, you're going to go through trials and tribulations this year. That was always the plan. But I assure you, you're going to see the brilliance of David Stearns in spades and parts this year. You're not seeing it right now. I get that, Again, Rome wasn't built overnight in that sense, but Stearns is here to stay. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, and you will see with time that he is far from the problem. Yes, if we want to criticize the Joey Wendell signing, by all means, we can do that, right? If we want to criticize maybe the Mets not going harder after Shota Imanaga going, 6 shutty with 9 Ks today, in which I would have loved him, sure, absolutely. But outside of that, this falls on the veterans. This falls on the guys that have been here. This is what it falls on. And firing everyone, Ken, will only set them back even worse. How do you think the players are impacted by this, right? That's another thing to take into account. Think about this Mets core group and think about the amount of managers and front offices they've went through each and every year. Yes, you're professional, and yes, you need to go through these things regardless, but there's a reason why all the good organizations in baseball, for the most part, don't have this type of turmoil on a year-by-year basis. They don't have a change in front office significantly on a year-by-year. You don't have a change in your coaching staff almost a year-by-year. For how many years in our Mets fandom life, right? The Mets don't have a proper structure in place. They're building that, and until things are kind of multiple years of the same coaching, of the same front office, and a proper philosophy set, we're going to have problems. Again, we have to start somewhere. We're starting now. It just sucks that we're off to as horrendous of a start this season as we are. And now, as you guys can see, I've calmed down a little bit after the initial reactions. Feeling good, feeling great. This team has no heart. They're lifeless. This is a team that gets checked out so early and so often, especially if they give up early runs. Thankfully, they didn't do that today, but it still didn't matter with the way that they finished this ball game. It really is frustrating, to say the least. And I know we got 500 concurrent here on YouTube. Thank you all to everybody. I don't know where we're on the like count, but if you guys and gals could help us get to our next like goal of hopefully 300 likes, that'd be greatly appreciated for people watching live on a replay. Really does mean a lot. And again, thank you all so much in advance for everyone that's been taking the time supporting the channel, especially in times of grief like this, because I know you guys are going to get tired of talking about this team and going through these emotions and fast, and I don't blame you. So for the time being, I greatly appreciate everyone that's chiming in, and I don't blame you. Again, if we're a week from now where it's the exact same like this, at that point, I don't even blame you for not showing up here, because I would be tuning out the team too. I would want to, at least, because of how bothered I would be. Trade Alonso. Lindor isn't getting traded. Stop that. Alonso is likely not getting traded right now. But the future of Alonso is anything but certain. I will say that. Not as much regarding the trade deadline as I'm talking the offseason, because of a couple other guys out there that might leave the Mets into potentially tough decisions to make. Let's see here. Stark Raven Sports, my man Mike, he says, did he say Aquaman became Clark Kent? Yes, I did. Because that's Sean Manaea. 100%. Sean Manaea literally went from Aquaman to Clark Kent in one day after he cut everything after his first spring outing, which wasn't a great one. Shout out to you, Mike, for being in the chat. Actually thought BetUS was going to hit a grand slam. I was almost right. He got a run in. He did what he needed to do, everybody. But you know what, guys? We're 45 into this game, into the show. The Mets didn't score one run. I greatly appreciate every single one of you that took the time to watch this, people live on a replay. I'm probably not going to crop it either. I think I'll just leave it at where it's at. We'll see, at least. People on Twitter, I appreciate you guys too, but this is where I'm wrapping things up, all right? Because I got nothing else to say. Shit game. Such a frustrating shit game offensively. Pitching was awesome. This is going to be one of those games that gets swept under the rug, but the Mets pitched a masterclass for the most part. And it really, really bothers me that they were not able to do anything with it. So, guys and gals, if you're wondering when you'll see me next, same time, same place. Tomorrow, pregame show will come at either 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern, around that range, barring changes. Don't want to do it too much after the lineups come out. Lineups usually drop around 3:30 Eastern on average. And then we will be live postgame, hopefully after the first win of the season, and instead of being 0-5 and dropping another series. So until then, have a great rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you're watching this. I thank you all so much, and we'll talk again real soon. Mets drop this one. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my evening while I can. Wish you all the same. Have a great one, folks. And as always, no matter what,